Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, non-binaries of all ages, welcome to the show. If you're here to learn how to do character creation the right way, you've come to the wrong place, because we're going to do character creation with cats, in a game that probably wasn't meant for that. This is how to make a literal cat in your favorite RPG. I'm Joel Holland, one of the hosts.
I'm Austin Irwin, the second host.
But glad you could join us again, Austin, as always.
Mm-hmm. I know I kind of pop up here and there. I'm not really, I'm not on every app.
We've only missed one so far.
That's true. I've got a pretty good track record, but you never know.
It could happen one day.
Unlikely.
I don't know what I'll have to do if I have to solo an episode.
Don't worry, Joel. I'll try my best to make sure that doesn't happen.
Thank you so much. But I've noticed something. We've had a lot of guests on recently, haven't we?
We have, it's like it's becoming a 3-man rotating team or a 3-person.
Yeah, it's almost like that, isn't it?
Yeah.
Luckily, it's just the two of us this week.
Is it? I can't shake the feeling that there's someone, that someone else is here.
Oh, that's just the listener.
That's right.
That's just a creepy person in the voice inside your head.
Oh my God, there's someone else here. You were right.
I knew I had a sneaking suspicion. Well, welcome to the show. Would you like to introduce yourself, mysterious third person?
Yes, that creepy voice inside your head is Jacob Wood. I'm the owner of Accessible Games and the designer from Survival of the Able.
Oh, welcome to the show.
Yeah, fantastic.
It's a strange coincidence that you decided to show up this time, because we're going to do Survival of the Able.
Yeah, you decided to drop in at the perfect time.
Well, I am omniscient.
That'll do it.
Explains a lot. So anyway, Jacob Wood, why don't you tell us a little bit about your role-playing experience?
Sure. I started role-playing when I was around 12 years old, so got my start with RuneQuest, first edition, and I played many different characters over the years, starting with my very first that was definitely not a Chrono Trigger ripoff. It was a spiky-haired teenager with a katana. When it was those days, character creation was something that I never really thought that long and deep about, and so stealing from my favorite games was just kind of the norm at the time. Since then, I've gone on to play many, many different games over the many, many different years. And I began designing my own games around about 2013. My first game was a cyberpunk game called Cypunk, and that came out in May of 2013. I've been developing ever since, and the most recent was Survival of the Able, which is what we'll be doing today. It's a survival horror game about disabled people working together to overcome a zombie plague in the Middle Ages. So it'll be fun to see how character creation has progressed from spiky-haired teenagers to cats. I'm not sure how my life has gotten to this point, but being omniscient, you'd think I would actually be able to figure that out.
There's some
mysteries. Were we about to make the same joke?
I think we were. There's some mysteries that can't be solved.
There you go. Anyway, so yes, we're gonna do Survival of the Abled, which is exactly as described. I need to find page 36, but while I'm doing that, we may as well talk about a couple things. First off, yes, we're probably going to have to break a couple rules to do a cat in this game, because I'm just kind of skimming through it as I go. It doesn't sound like cats were considered when this was being developed.
Cats are very much something that you could easily create a zombie out of, but certainly they were not considered in terms of player characters, so this should be fun.
All right. Well, with that in mind, let's talk about the rules of the game are not sacred, but the podcast itself has rules that we must hold fast to.
Exactly.
First and foremost, we accept no cop-outs. We're making a cat. It's the exact animal that comes to mind when I say the word. It can't be some anthropomorphic race, not some person turned into a cat, not a lion, a tiger, not any other, cat adjacent feline animal in the animal kingdom. No other cop outs you can imagine.
Number 2 is homebrew isn't real. Doesn't exist. If the rules do not explicitly allow something to happen, it counts as a rule broken. If we come across rules as written versus rules as intended, we go with whichever one says no. Because we are just low rule breakers over here.
Yep.
Cats do like
If
to
the
do their
game-
own thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. This is in the spirit of cats. It's for them. Because everyone wants to be able to play a game with their cat at the table, right?
Yeah, exactly. If you're a human listening to this podcast, I don't know what you're doing here.
Anyway, if the game includes stats for a literal cat, those must be used or adapted to the game's character sheets. Does that apply to this situation?
That does not apply to this situation.
Alright.
Good to know. The character class, background, playbook, job, what have you, has to exist in the game's core rules or as part of an official expansion. We cannot use homebrew classes. Yet again, homebrew is not real. It's all made up.
Yep.
Yeah.
Rule number 5 is the cat can learn any skill that's available to its class. If the class, like, if it says the cat has the skill on its character sheet, then some convoluted logic has to exist about how this cat was trained to do that. That's just about all there is to it, with one important exception, and that's Rule 6.
And rule 6 is, if a tool would be physically impossible for a literal cat to use, even if comically downsized for them, they cannot use it. You know, no chainsaws, weed whackers, cars, really, I'd say. Which is funny, because we had a cat fly a ship, but that was part of the class. It came with
Yep.
it.
And we had the ship was specifically listed as being heavily modifiable, so
Oh.
Exactly.
yeah. And finally, we have to keep track of every rule that we break. So if anyone asks in the future, we can tell them exactly how many rules have to be broken to play as a literal cat. And that's about all there is to it.
Yep.
Sounds good.
And with that out of the way, if we go to page, 35, it looks like, we
Mhm.
can get started on this very important process. So let's see. According to this book, we've got 6 steps to designing a character.
Hmm.
First off, we have to consider our concept. Step 2, we have to develop our senses. Step 3, determine our qualities. Step 4, design your anxieties and assurances. Step 5, determine your skills. And finally, Step 6, develop your relationships. You can complete these steps in any order, but this progression makes it easy to build the character you want to play. After completing each stage, write down your results on the character sheet. Austin, you got the character sheet?
I do have the character sheet. Do you want me to screen share this for you both?
Yes, because this is not a public document. It's just on your computer. So we gotta do this that way. You know,
Well, here you are. Here it is in all of its glory.
it's loading. Oh, it's loaded.
There we go.
All right, let's do this then.
So,
Let's go ahead and get started here
Okay.
with develop your senses.
I
Oh,
imagine
no, the first step was consider your concept,
yep.
wasn't it?
I imagine
Yes.
the concept of it's a cat is already established.
Yes, that is that is an important part of the character concept indeed.
The one other thing to note is that characters in this game specifically start at St. Giles's Almshouse, which is a home and hospice for people with disabilities in an undefined region of 1347 AD medieval Europe. So the almshouse is a place where people with disabilities have been sent to kind of live out their lives away from the rest of society and just kind of work for the church. It's kind of a combination medieval church and kind of hospice hotel. So your cat is going to start at some point living in this almshouse for whatever reason. And you can leave that up to the concept now, or you can kind of weave that in later as you see fit.
I'll bet we could come up with a reason why a cat would be living in a hospital.
perhaps one of the nurses noticed that it was struggling, you know?
Yeah, it could be. I mean, the cat has to have a disability too, right? That's part of the character creation.
Part of character creation does assume that you have a disability, yes. It is a requirement of being a character in Survival of the Able, so yeah.
Great.
And again, this is the year 1347 AD, so picture the cat in that kind of setting as well when you're kind of considering your concept.
All right, so this is probably not like a. This is a cat that's had some struggles before ending up in this place.
Most definitely.
But now that it's here, perhaps it's a source of comfort for those that live there. You know.
Yeah. Cats bring a very calming atmosphere.
So I'd say the cat has. If we're describing maybe not physical traits at this point, but like the cat shows some signs of wear and tear, but it is in its current state, you know, pretty well taken care of. Everyone likes the cat, wants it around.
I'd say so.
He keeps the mice away too, or tries.
Well, that makes sense.
So yeah, let's just start with that for our concept,
All right.
and then we can go on to develop your senses.
Oh, I'm sorry, to back it up one step, just in the spirit of your own rules. The rules never specifically state that you have to play a human, but it is very much implied. So if you're considering that as a rule broken, that's probably a rule broken.
Rules as intended.
Yeah. On to develop your senses. Reading here from the book, most of us have 5, but some people lack 1 or more of them. It's a common myth that people who lack the sense of sight have super hearing to compensate. In reality, most people without sight have simply learned to pay more attention to their other senses and have thus honed them like any other skill. The same is true for people who lack other senses such as hearing, taste, touch, or smell. That's why we treat the senses trait as a type of skill, complete with its own trait levels. It's up to you to decide which of your senses you rely on the most and which you may have or lack altogether. Okay, so the trait levels are your character's senses will all start at a base level of average, which is 0. If you'd like one sense to be stronger than the others, you can increase its level up to good by decreasing one or other of your stats by or other of your senses by an equal amount. So like if you want good hearing, which would be +2, you can have poor seeing, right?
Right.
Okay. So this cat has had a rough life up to this point, perhaps some injuries that have affected its senses, or maybe it was born this way, who knows. But what senses do we think are not our cat's strong suit? Let's see.
I think having a poor sense of hearing would be interesting because that would kind of it would kind of lead into like the cat, you know, can survive on its own, but maybe it gets itself into some bad situations with like, you know,
all right, yeah,
walking into the street without, or like walking in front of somebody that they don't hear to the side of them, or stuff like that.
Okay, so you want to say that's poor or mediocre? Poor is -2, mediocre is -1.
What do you both think? Any ideas?
I think -2 poor would make for a fun kind of some interesting antics as the cat wanders around, and bearing in mind that other people in the almshouse also have disabilities that might make it difficult to notice the cat. If the cat doesn't notice them, fun things can happen sometimes.
Okay.
-2. And then what stat are we saying it's better at to compensate? I kind of like smell for this.
I think smell's a good one because if you can pick up on scents around you, you'd be able to be like, I smell Jerry coming down the hall.
Yep, that's one way to think of it. Now for the others, do we
want to do baseline or do we want to have mediocre or poor for one of them?
I don't know. Cats have a kind of above average eyesight, like I think as a normal thing. So maybe a +1 to see.
Okay.
And then we could take -1 out of touch.
I think that works. Cats don't mean, I guess cats don't really do a lot of like feeling, Maybe emotionally, but I'm
Some
not sure.
whiskers or something, but maybe it has an injured paw or something.
Ooh, that's a good
Maybe.
idea.
Yeah, that might work.
Could we put that in the notes?
Yeah, we could. I think that cats, use their paw pads the same way like we use our hands. Like,
Mhm.
if a surface is not safe to touch, that's the first warning sign. So if its touch sense is damaged, then it would, potentially put itself at risk of ending up in a hazardous situation that way.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
And that's our senses. So what's next? Determine qualities. By now you should have a good idea of who your character is and their personality. Well, we know what our character is, and we know kind of their role. Do we know their personality?
I don't think we do yet.
Well, if not, we can certainly kind of tease that out during this next step of the process. Qualities are representative of your personality.
Yeah.
Okay, so assigning qualities. Each quality exists on a sliding scale with two opposite sides. A character who is completely ambivalent about the world might have average in all their qualities. Most characters will feel or behave strongly in at least a few areas of their lives, though. After all, our convictions are what make us who we are. Okay, so we can have quality levels up to great, +3, but opposing qualities must be decreased by the same level. The overall balance of any given set of qualities must be +0.
Yeah. Similar to
So
how our senses worked.
yeah, except it looks like it's like we're given a the dichotomy of qualities,
Right. Each
Mhm.
one
by
is its
default.
own little sliding scale.
Yep.
Cool.
So like if we had a +3 courageous, it would be a -3 cowardly.
That's right.
I definitely think our cat would lean worldly.
I think every cat would lean worldly versus pious.
Yeah. Energetic versus sluggish, generous versus selfish, and cautious versus reckless. I kind of like the idea of a cat that is, somewhat cowardly but also reckless.
Mhm.
I think that would be a funny way to go.
I
Yeah.
like that a lot.
Like it's taken some injuries in the past and doesn't want more, but also curiosity killed the cat is not a saying that came out of nowhere.
In fact, that's probably what landed him here.
Yeah.
But how many points are we putting in each? I kind of like the idea of +3 reckless.
That makes sense.
Yeah. +3 reckless, -3 cautious.
Yep.
For worldly, do we want to do a +3 -3 as well?
Yeah, that would make sense.
Yeah.
And then generous to selfish. Is that one we want to leave alone or
I think maybe. I guess it depends on this. This is one of those things about how do we want to flesh out this cat?
Hmm.
Like
yeah.
maybe maybe this cat will spend more time with people who they feel like need it more, rather than just running and staying by itself throughout the hospital.
Yeah.
I think it would make sense to have it lean generous at
Mhm.
least a little bit.
Mhm.
Like a plus
so-
one.
Yeah, like a +1. Simply because like we said earlier, the cat is liked well enough by most of the people there.
Mm-hmm.
So that means it's got to be at least a little bit friendly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Let's do a -2 for courageous and +2 for cowardly.
-2.
And what about energetic and sluggish?
So is he?
We could say since it's got physical like injuries, like the injured paw. So if that's like a long-term injury, it might lean towards at least sluggish behavior.
Yeah,
Mhm.
I would agree with that. So probably a -1 then
Yeah,
for
that
energetic.
makes sense to me at least.
He also seems like the type of cat that would really love to just be petted, as opposed to like going off and bothering to be productive.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. All right.
So,
So now we need anxieties and assurances. This is perhaps the most difficult part of character creation and certainly the most open-ended. Anxieties and assurances are designed to add some flavor to your character and help you get a deeper understanding of who they are. Think about your qualities and how they might affect your daily life. What would comfort your character and what would cause them stress?
All right.
So, I'm reading the summary here. Anxieties test your qualities in specific situations. The difficulty for a minor anxiety is equal to the tested qualities level plus 2. The difficulty for a major anxiety is equal to the tested qualities level plus 3.
Okay.
So do we need one of each then? -1 anxiety, -2, and then a
That's right.
+1 and +2 assurance?
Yep.
Okay, cool.
So,
Now, I feel like the cat probably has some kind of anxiety around getting kicked, because that probably happens more often than it would like.
ooh, yes.
All right.
That seems like probably a good minor anxiety, like something like whenever you.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense. Minor anxiety about being kicked or stepped on, especially since it's not necessarily in a state to always get itself out of the way.
Mhm.
Yeah. So maybe if there's a lot of people around, or in the context of the game, a lot of, undead around, that's when that anxiety kind of starts to build of like, okay, I can't keep track of everything here.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then, what would its more severe anxiety be?
Hmm.
Is it pretty dependent on other people for its food?
I would say it has become dependent on other people
Yeah.
since, living, in a hospital.
Yeah, that makes sense. Like, it's used to having easy sources of food, like either, being fed or catching the mice that might be trying to access the kitchens.
Mm-hmm.
So fear of I'm thinking kind of like a fear of not having a steady source of food, or to make it even broader, to not having someone there to help you.
So
Yeah.
whenever you struggle to find food,
Yeah, I had a dog with severe food anxiety. Like, it could not stand to see an empty bowl.
Mhm.
It would get very stressed about that. So, yeah, that makes sense.
Mhm.
so then what quality would you tie that to? Like worldly? Whenever you struggle to find
Yeah.
food, make I guess that would be like in his case a +6 worldly check, or take 2 stress.
Yep.
Fear of not being able to find food. What was our minor anxiety attached to?
Oh, we didn't say.
That's a
did
good
we?
question.
Probably cowardly.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Yeah.
All right. So on to assurances.
Or maybe sluggish. Since if it's a little bit sluggish, then it may struggle to get out of the way of being kicked or stepped on.
Yeah.
Ooh, yeah, that's good.
All right, now we're on to assurances. Assurances are created in the same manner as anxieties, but they're more likely to test your positive qualities than your negative ones. Minor assurances recover +1 stress, and major assurances recover +2. To create assurances, fill in the blanks for the following statement. Whenever something occurs, make a check to recover +1 or +2 stress. For example, whenever you stand up for what's right, even if it's risky, make a superb, courageous check to recover +1 stress.
Nice.
Let's see, the difficulty for assurances is lower than that for anxieties. For minor assurances, the difficulty is tested quality +1, and for major, it's the tested quality +2. So let's see, what makes our cat, feel safe or strong?
Has it really embraced the kind of the persona of being the friendly therapy pet? Like, does it really just love being petted by everybody?
See, I was thinking that too,
like a comfort or support role.
Mm-hmm.
Like being around people, helps kind of alleviate stress.
Yeah. Something like whenever you bring comfort to one of your people, make like a generous check?
Yeah, that sounds good.
Nice.
And is that the minor or the major?
Oh, yeah, that's a good question.
Let's do that as the major.
Is the major?
Yeah.
So it means it really just feels so much comfort in helping other people feel better about their lives.
Didn't copy the whole thing.
Huh. Let's see. Cat's traits lean mostly towards the negative side, don't they?
Yes, I I realized that as we were looking at assurances.
What if we have a thing for like achieving a goal of accessing something without assistance?
Yeah,
Ooh,
Because
that's
like our
good.
our energetic is only -1,
yeah.
so it's our second best positive trait.
So whenever you accomplish a task alone,
Yeah.
Yeah,
does accomplish have one C or two?
two, I think.
Okay, I knew it didn't look right.
All right, so that's assurances out of the way. Now we determine our skills. Skills are acquired traits which represent what your character does with their time. Some skills are honed naturally over years of daily use, while others are practiced or studied with intent. Either way, your skills reflect your character's past and present. All skills begin at a level of average, that they may not be increased beyond good or decreased below terrible. You have 3 free trait levels to assign to your skills. After that, if you would like to increase a skill, you must decrease another by the same amount. After all your skills are assigned, the total sum of your bonuses must equal +3. So I've got an easy one, I think, if we look at the skills here. Because I highly doubt our cat is all that good at animal handling.
Yeah.
So there's an easy -3, and that gives us 6 points to work with.
Yep.
Okay.
If we, this would be fudging it a little bit, but, I mean, it is a fudge system.
That's
so,
right.
If we interpreted hand signals to mean nonverbal communication in general,
Mm-hmm.
then we could probably say our cat is pretty good at that, because cats have to communicate most of their needs to people nonverbally.
Yeah.
That's true. So do we want to make that a good skill or a great skill? Or no, wait, no.
Let's say good.
I was about to say, I just realized cannot be increased beyond good.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that's right. We can't do a +3. It has to be +2.
Yep.
All right, so we got 4 more points. I want to put at least 1 in act and react.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Explore or intuition, I feel like should be.
Intuition should probably be a +2.
Mm-hmm. And then explore might be a +1.
I would think so. Cats tend to excel
Yeah.
at that.
Yeah. My cat
And
was
we could-
exploring the tops of my cabinets today. That's my roommate told me.
We could probably take -1 at least out of lore and medicine. I doubt our cat understands history or academic knowledge.
You've never had a studious cat?
Not in real life. Then we could put 2 points in navigate.
Does this set us to 0? Does this set us to +? No, we calculate.
Let's count.
Let's
I
2,
can get
4,
out a calculator
6,
and tell you.
8. 8 minus 5. Oh, yep, that's +3.
Okay. Well, are we happy with this?
I
that
think that
works.
sounds good.
Okay. Then all that's left to do is develop relationships, right?
Right.
Okay, it says this step is not required, but it helps you decide how your character fits into the group. Is this a step that, like, would be done with the other players?
Yeah, that's right. This is really more of just like, how do you fit in with the other people at the table?
Alright, this is probably a step that we will more or less have to leave undone then, because this is something that, like, we're not making the whole party, so we can't
Yeah.
determine how the cat is related to the rest of the party.
Right. But it does say it's optional, so it's not a rule broken, right?
True.
That's true. Now, rule fudged is a rule broken, so I'm going to say that we're misusing hand signals.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And let's see, there was something else on the character sheet on page 2 that we, yeah, what's the saint name?
So this is not necessarily part of the character, but it's an important part of the game. Characters can pray to one of the patron saints to gain something called blessed dice, which help them in certain situations. The cat might find that difficult, come to think of it.
Perhaps with a -3 to pious.
And probably a limited understanding of religion in general.
Yeah.
Yeah. This cat can't read. This cat, I don't know. You could probably get someone else to pray for it, but it's probably not gonna do much of its own praying.
Yeah.
Yeah, no. Can't even put his paws together, man.
Nah, one of them don't work right. All right. So, is that the whole process?
That's
then?
the whole process. Other than maybe naming him.
Oh
that
yeah, we
covers
gotta
it.
give it a name. What's a good medieval cat name?
Balthazar.
I dig it.
There is a post I saw on Tumblr the other day. I doubt I'm gonna be able to find it now if I go digging, because Tumblr's search tools are terrible. But but it was just like, it had like, I think it was like a Renaissance era like thing about someone publishing a list of good cat names.
Oh wow.
Oh, I also saw that list, but I can't remember what any of it said. The nature of the internet.
So
Infinite knowledge.
On page 2 of that character sheet, though, where the saints are, one of those saints is the patron saint of animals. And I could see the people of the almshouse naming a cat after that saint. I just can't think of what it is off the top of my head.
It looks like Blaze.
Blaze. And I actually had a cat named Blaze once.
Oh, nice.
Blaze
So
the
maybe
cat.
Blaze.
Isn't that a Sonic character?
Blaze
Possibly.
is a Sonic character. But the cat in Sonic is big.
No, that's a different cat.
Is Blaze also a cat?
Yeah, yeah, okay. I remember now. Blaze is
Ah,
is
yeah.
a cat from the future, and Big is a cat from the present.
Gotcha. Pokemon Scarlet and Violet all over again.
No, that would mean Big was from the past.
Yeah, I know.
But enough about Sonic lore.
So Blaze. That is a good name. I like that a lot. Is that what we
Yeah.
want to go with?
Yeah, just so we're clear, audience, this is Blaise. It's not, we're not literally naming the cat Blaze as in, fire.
You know.
This cat is not a magical pyrotechnic.
Mm-mm.
Or a pyrokinetic, that's what it's called.
No, that would be in my other game, Cypunk.
We'll have to look into that one at some point, probably.
All right.
So, I guess if that's the character sheet, then we have completed the process with 2 rule breaks.
We've made a character.
And we have a character.
Cat. Cat. I can't fit it in.
That's fine. I don't think you need to. But yeah, if that's the process. Is there anything else that we need to establish about this cat? We got a name, we got stats, we got lore, I think we got everything we need.
Yep. Character creation and survival of the able is pretty quick and simple. During a rule 0, multiple people at the table, or a session 0, multiple people at the table should be able to go through character creation and like a 1 or 2 hour session together and be ready to get going. So, pretty straightforward.
Yeah, perfect.
Nice. It was very good. I really like the way it acts, like you said, as a sliding scale. Feels very, very gamey to me, which is nice. I like my games to feel like games.
Cool.
Mm-hmm. This uses the fudge system, which is very similar to Fate, so it
That's
makes
right.
sense that it's fast.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, for sure. Fudge and Fate are both really kind of defined by their ease of character creation, I think.
Yep. Excuse me. Jacob, is there any, do you have like a mixtape you want to drop on us, or just anything else in general you want to plug?
Yeah, so in addition to Survival of the Able, which is out now and available on DriveThruRPG, I also publish a quarterly tabletop zine about accessibility and inclusion in tabletop role-playing. That zine is called Accessible Gaming Quarterly. We're on issue 10 now, and we're funded through issue 12, so look for those in January
Nice.
and April. In addition to that, I am a big advocate for accessibility and tabletop gaming. I'm personally legally blind, and so this is very near and dear to my heart, and making sure that everybody has the opportunity to play games is really important to me, and that's kind of what my mission has been. And Survival of the Able is just one of those things that I do to try to make that happen.
All right.
Very good on you.
Where can people find you online?
So I'm at www.accessiblegames.biz. That's .biz. And you can also find me on Twitter at Accessible Games, and Facebook. I'm Accessible Games Biz on there as well. I'm much more active on Twitter than I am on Facebook, although we'll see how long that holds up. Mostly you can find what I'm up to on my blog at accessiblegames.biz.
All right.
Awesome.
Yeah. What about you, Austin?
Well, me, I'm still over on Twitter. Like I said last episode, I recently got a Tumblr. Joel finally converted me to the dark side. And new thing is on Twitch. I have started a randomized Soul Link Nuzlocke with one of my friends. We're playing Heart Gold on our DS's 100%. Where we're trying so hard to survive. I don't know if the VOD will still be up by the time this episode goes out. Doubt it. But so far we've lost every encounter besides our starters.
Ooh, that's talented.
Yeah, we just got through the first gym. Only one Pokemon. It's going fantastic. Those will mostly be on the weekends because that's usually all the time me and my buddy get to game at the same time.
And you think that's still going to be going by January?
If we lose before like the 4th gym, we're just gonna restart with either some new rules or hopefully some new luck. I will say I got a Master Ball on like my 5th item, and I have yet to use it.
How have you failed 4? How many encounters was it?
I think it's a total of 4 or 5. First one, which is a clip on the channel, got obliterated by an Ember, thanks to my buddy Jordan. Other ones, I think he ended up killing a second one. We've caught 2. So our first random encounter died, caught the next 2. He killed both of them in battle. And then I accidentally killed one because my Pokemon crit before we could even catch it. And then there was one I straight up threw like 10, 15 Pokeballs at, couldn't catch it, and I refused to use my Master Ball on it.
Wow.
So there's plenty of clips. I made sure to clip all the good juicy bits over on my Twitch channel, which is Avalon Alchemist. But enough about me. Joel, do you have anything to drop before we end this episode?
Well, really, this is my only project that I have anything to report progress on, and you just listen to it. This is the latest progress. So no, I'm good. I'm good for the moment. At this point in time, there's probably nothing more to report on the game than there was last month when you last heard me mention it, which could have been either 2 or 4 weeks ago. I don't remember. But you can follow me on Twitter if you're still there for some reason. I mean, let's be real. We're all probably gonna go down with the ship, but I've got a backup plan, which is Tumblr, which they're the same thing. It's Denalo Lioge. It's my name spelled backwards, but no one knows how to spell that. So instead, you can go to jholland.start.page, and you'll find links to those and to my portfolio and a few other things. So that's cool. But I'm not the only one with a start page. The podcast itself has a start page. If you go to literalcatpod.start.page, you will be directed to a page with links to our email address, where you can send us pictures of cats, tell us to play specific games, or, just challenge us to do a specific thing with a cat in an episode, with a game request or without. you can find the Twitter and Tumblr for the show. As of right now, the most reliable posting happens on Twitter, but that's probably going to change because Twitter has not, done a single one of my queued posts over there in a few weeks. Like, I just realized, I realized like last week or so that that all of my posts that I had queued got cleared without actually being posted. The entire month of November.
Oh my lord.
Yeah. Slipped through our fingers.
Yep. That was not fun to realize. So at some point, Twitter is just not going to be good for even sharing news anymore, and then you'll have to get your news from Tumblr, but that's okay, because unlike Tumblr, Twitter does not have an Ask Me Anything button. So if you want to get news and be able to ask us random questions about the show or otherwise, that's over on Tumblr at Literal Cat Pod. We also have links to the YouTube channel where you can watch every episode and occasionally, when I have time for it, some clips of the podcast. When we publish episodes to YouTube, they first off will have captions, which if Austin has time to get to it, will be better than the auto-generated ones. But if not, then you'll at least have the auto-generated ones, which usually do. They're not great, but they're not terrible either.
Yeah.
They're better than the auto-generated ones that Acast tries to make. And besides that, I've got them set up as Premiere, so you can do a watch party with live chat with, other internet strangers, and me most of the time. The other thing that you can find from that is a link to all the character sheets from the show, from this episode and past episodes. They are stored on a Dropbox. I'm also considering starting a wiki, but that hasn't happened yet as of right now. So, I mean, if it's happened by January, you probably already heard about it on Twitter or Tumblr. That out of the way, don't forget to rate and review the show on your listening service of choice. If your podcast player doesn't have a rate or review feature, you could always go to Podchaser. I check Podchaser all the time, like once or twice a week. And yeah, I think that's everything. Did I forget anything?
Not that I know of. I think so.
Okay, cool. Well, I guess it's time to sign off then. Thank you again, Jacob, for coming on and teaching us to make a literal cat in Survival of the Able.
Oh, thanks so much for having me.
Been a pleasure. Austin, you got a cat pun for us?
I do. We're with another episode down, another, good chunk of time listening. I hope we're always there to scratch your brain,
It's cats and zombies. You got a twofer there.
Yeah.
That was perfect.
Perfect.
Now we got another one. We've already hit our pun quota.